Good morning and welcome to Coffee Chat with David and Kylie Knight.
Hey, so good to see you this morning. Yes, today is Friday, November the 20th, 2020.
Wow.
It's almost Thanksgiving.
Almost.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's very exciting.
It is. Well, hey, if you are here and you are watching us today, be sure to use our hashtags Hello Knights or hashtag Cup of Awesome.
That's right.
And then, of course, be sure to like and share because
Sharing is caring.
Exactly.
Oh, good morning, Josh.
Hey,
yeah,
there he
he's
goes.
got his hashtags happening.
Spot on. I love it.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Be like Josh.
That's right. Be like Josh. That should be our tagline. Be like Josh.
There's another one to add to it, Josh.
Right?
Hello,
It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
And then Bentley Burns, of course, always says hashtag good morning, good nights.
We haven't seen him for a while, but he's been a little busy lately.
He has been busy.
Yeah.
But, well, we've had kind of a busy week. I mean, we've been doing a lot of work in the office.
Yes.
Right? We've been, I'm trying to remember even where we were last night.
I can usually count on you for this part of it.
Yeah, this is kind of terrible.
I need my calendar. Like, what's going on?
It's been crazy busy around here. We've been ramping up some stuff. We've got some big things in the works, which we can't talk about just yet. Josh would say, John, hello knights who say knee.
We've said that.
We have.
Yes,
on
that
occasion.
is funny. I like it. We are the knights that say knee.
But probably the big thing is, yesterday we took a trip to Houston.
Yes, a day trip to Houston.
Why did we go there, babe?
Very early in the morning. Well, David has found out over the many, many years that we've been together that having a foreign wife is expensive. Very expensive.
It is.
Because he's had to pay for getting
so
me
much.
The green card, and then keeping up with the 2 passports has been the thing ever since then. And so it was time for my Australian passport to get renewed, and they could not make it easy. No. We couldn't just send it in and do the whole electronic thing like you'd think they could.
No.
They had to schedule an appointment down in Houston. That's where the Australian consulate is. And because of COVID, they're only scheduling so many. So it was when we were on the road a couple of weeks ago, because they were scheduling 2 weeks out and only had certain numbers. So it was at 9 a.m. Monday morning, they would release certain time slots. And if you're not on in a couple of minutes with all your information, you miss out. And so we tried to get an appointment for a week ago.
Well, because we had a great idea.
We did.
Because Southwest, we fly Southwest all the time.
Yeah.
Southwest was doing an awesome deal where if you book and fly a flight by a certain date, you get a companion pass that lasts for 2 months into 2020 or 2021.
And we were very hopeful, thinking that we're going to be flying again in the new year. I know a lot of you are laughing right now at that, but so we're going to do that, and I was going to fly down there. David was going to drive, and I was just going to do a one-way because that's all we needed.
Right.
And then we're going to drive, have my appointment and then drive home again. But there was a couple of minutes that I had to do that, and I didn't have all my stuff on the road with me at the time, so we missed out.
Yep.
By the time I typed in all the information and found everything I needed, appointments were gone.
Yeah.
So we got in for yesterday, so we drove down, and once again, they didn't make it easy. You'd think having the photos that they have on your passport.
My goodness. Why can't we just they make you print off photos for your passport, and then they're going to digitize them anyway.
Correct.
So let's just do them digital.
Right.
Let me
they should
take a
have
photo
a camera
on my
set
iPhone.
up there. If they're going to make you go in person, hope you people are listening at the conference.
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they're paying attention right now.
We are huge in the Australian consulate world.
Absolutely. We're big names, big names. So if we go there anyway, they take the photo, it's on their camera, they can digitize it and put it straight onto the passport.
Yeah, but no.
Instead of going, well, here's some places that you could go. We can't guarantee that we're going to accept that, but you can try. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to just try anyway, a local one was Walgreens. I think it worked on my last one years ago, but they did not accept it.
Time.
So they said, we'll take your money right now, but you have to go a couple of
They'll
miles
always
down the
take your
road.
money.
Down the road, pay some more money, get photos done by this place a few miles down the road, come back, drop off the photos, and will eventually send it to you in the mail.
Yeah.
Can't tell you when, but you have to be home to receive it and sign for it. So it's a surprise. Can't you tell I'm a little agitated about this whole process?
She's slightly miffed.
Oh.
Joshua St. John says they earned the companion pass for 2020 and have not been able to use it. I can understand that.
There you go. I know. So frustrating, right?
Hoping they extend it for all of 2021. They should. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he also said our passports expired back in August, so whenever COVID is gone, we have to get new ones.
Yeah, mine expired back in April,
yeah.
I think.
No, it was June.
April or June.
Yeah, it was June.
Okay.
But and the only reason we got it done right now is, with your father's health.
Right.
If something were to happen, and if we have to send you over and you quarantine for 2 weeks before seeing anybody, then that's what we'll do. But we just want to make sure you can.
Just in case something happens, I need to be able to go.
Yeah. But anyway, so we got that done, and then we had an awesome lunchtime with our good friend Jaime Garcia, who we interviewed here a few weeks back. We got to meet him.
With Unique Student Ministry?
Yes. And man, he's a bundle of energy. I love that guy.
He's awesome. And he knows the places to go down there.
Oh, especially for Mexican food.
You know what I really enjoyed? Because he said, let's meet at this Mexican restaurant, have a good Mexican lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We're always on board for that.
Yes.
Just so you know, especially in Texas.
Yeah.
So he knows the places, and that's in his community. And seeing his community everywhere he goes, he's like a rock star down there. Everyone knows him. Everyone's like, hey, Jaime, and they're like, air high five or fist bump because you can't hug, but I think that's what they do normally.
Right.
And just seeing the love that he has for his community, and
they
obviously in response to him. So it was just beautiful.
Yeah, fantastic guy. So anyways, that's kind of been our week. So I feel like there's something else that happened, but I can't think of what it was. So
I don't
remember
be that
either. Important, I guess. But it certainly can't be as important as our awesome guest this morning.
Exactly. Let's just get to this. This is awesome.
We got the chance to meet this gentleman several years back, and have had the chance to work with him over the years. He is always just a great joy to be around. He's a true servant of God, and he does super amazing things. Like bringing in an awesome illusionist.
I guess.
But anyways, we hope
it's not the only reason.
It's not the only reason we love him for a lot of reasons. But today you're going to find out some of those. So we hope you will enjoy and our friend and now yours, Mr. Roger Ellis.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hey.
Good morning,
Hello.
Roger.
Good to see you,
Good
friend.
bright and early morning, although
Right?
it's 10 o'clock. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's only a second cup of coffee, so that's still bright and early.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for my cup. I thought you were going to give me a cup of coffee.
Did it not make it through?
Don't worry about it.
It didn't make it?
It didn't. It didn't.
Oh,
but that's
no.
okay. I can adjust.
Here, you can.
Technology, I don't know.
A little more cream.
Exactly.
A little more cream.
Well, hey, man, thanks for joining us today. We, like I said, we've always enjoyed hanging out with you. You're a great person to be around, and so we thought when we hung out with you last, oh my gosh, why have we not had Roger on Coffee Chat? So thanks for joining us for this, and shall we get to it?
Absolutely.
You want to start it?
Yeah, let's start with the first easy question.
Go for it.
What is your faith story? How did you come to know Jesus?
You're assuming I have. No, I have. When I was
We know you have.
as a kid growing up, my family always went to church. We had our special pew, which was 4 seats back on the right side.
Oh, it's a good spot.
And I grew up in Casper, Wyoming. We went to a Methodist church there. My mom and dad had been forever. We used to go every week, and I would go to church with them or sit in Sunday school. And I did that throughout my teenage years. And then when I got to be 15 or 16, I asked them if I could go to another Methodist church where my friends went. And they said, why, of course, as long as you're going to church, that's fine. So I went, and then as I got older and moved away to college, I couldn't find a good, friendly Methodist church. So I kind of just slid away and dropped out and took a hike. And then I got married and I had kids. And of course, I had learned from when I was a kid that you you need to take your kids to church because that's an important thing to do. And so we took our kids, we found a place, our next door neighbors said, hey, we go to this school church. And I said, is it Methodist? And they said, no. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's all right. We'll go to your church till we find a better church. How about that? And they said, we're fine with that. So we would go to church there. And for the first 6 months that we were there, this embarrassing thing happened where the senior pastor would only talk to me. And I was kind of embarrassed about that, but he kept talking to me about this relationship with Jesus and how Jesus was kind of interested in a relationship with me. And I kept saying, man, there's a lot of other people sitting around here. They're probably getting really tired of him just talking to me. So I mentioned that to him, and he said, oh, don't worry about it. That happens all the time. You just keep hanging around. So we did. And then one day, Jesus was just talking to me, and he said, hey, when are you going to start your relationship with me? When is this going to get personal? And so I went and talked to the senior pastor about it, and he goes, yeah, that happens all the time. So at that point, I said, well, what do I do at this point? I was like 28 years old. And I said, what do I do then at this point? And he goes, oh, well, you just accept Jesus in a relationship. You name him as Lord and Savior, and we'll set your baptism up, and we're off and running. And I went, okay, sounds like a fun thing to me. So at 28 years old, I walked down the aisle on a Sunday night. Ed Jones baptized me. And the rest has been this sort of full tilt crazy relationship with him for the last 40 years, I think. That makes me old, but that's how at 28 years old I ended up trying to do the church thing for my kids and ended up having a relationship with Jesus.
I mean, so one of the things I love about Roger is he has he has a very serious relationship with Jesus, a very serious belief in Jesus, but he doesn't take it it's not serious. You know what I mean? I can't ever tell when you're.
He has a good sense
He has a
of
great sense of
humor.
humor.
You can
That's
tell
what I'm
when
looking
I'm
for.
lying to you or telling you the truth. That's a good children's pastor.
Yeah.
A good children's pastor. I've actually had parents say, oh, don't listen to him. He's just messing with you. And I said, I'm their children's pastor. Don't tell them not to listen to me.
Right?
I'm going to tell them important stuff. And they went, oh, well, yeah, the important stuff, listen to him. So, I don't know what to do with that.
That's great.
I love it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. People sitting in there, it's like, he's talking straight to me. Like, why would you bring that up to everybody else when you're talking directly to me? Shouldn't this conversation happen in private? But pastor has no idea.
Pastors.
Yeah, and the senior pastor was just cool about it. He went, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. That's not, that happens. And I went, oh, okay, cool. I'm not completely crazy.
Okay, cool.
Maybe I am. But that doesn't prove it, but there you go.
Yeah.
Well, now, and you mentioned that you're a children's pastor. You've been involved in children's ministry for a long time. At 28, you fully accepted Christ. How did the Lord lead you to the calling of children's pastor?
Well, at the time, I was a school teacher. I taught I taught special education for like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, I told you I'm old, man. This is old. So, I'm now in my 30s, and a new senior pastor, same church, new pastor, comes and says, "Hey, we know you have a degree in education, and you've been helping out with the student ministries, and you lead an adult Bible study. Hey, we're going to start a children's ministry. We would like you to help us out." And I said, "I'd love to help you out. That would be fun." And he said, "Well, we would like you to lead it." And I said, "Lead it like full time? This is the job I go to on Monday morning, lead it?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about."
Oh.
And I went, What are you, crazy? No, I'm not going to do that. I've got like a real job and they pay me money and I've got benefits. And he said, well, I don't know if we can pay the same, but you'll still kind of get benefits. And some of the retirement stuff is really good because you get eternal life and all that. And I said, oh, no. So we prayed about it and I had all my friends praying about it. And I said, no, I just can't leave what I'm doing right now. And he goes, oh, okay, I get it. Don't worry about it. No big deal. We'll go with somebody else. And so I would be spending my day getting ready for teaching and different stuff. And all I'd be thinking about is, man, as a pastor, I could do this and this and this, and it'd be really cool to build this and this and this. And I'd love to be a part of that and that. So after about a month of doing that, I went back and said, I can't let go of this idea. I don't want to do it, but I can't let go of it. And he laughed at me. The man laughed at me and said, yeah, that's kind of how God does it.
Yes,
and
does.
I said, you're going to blame this on God? And he goes, seems like a good idea to me. And you can use it too. And I said, okay, then let's blame it on God. And I switched out and I made the big change and I quit my teaching position and I moved over. That was in like, gosh, I don't know, 1989 or something like that. I switched over. It was my first year. And I said, I've never been to Bible college. Don't you have to like go to Bible college or something? And he said, no, not really. You have good education. You seem to understand the Bible pretty good. And you get stuck on something, just ask. We'll help you out. And he said, I believe he said, don't worry about it. It's children's ministry. And I didn't know what that meant. I wasn't offended at that point. I think I would have been now, but I wasn't at the time. So I went on staff with them in 89, and we started with like 15 kids, I think, on that first Sunday morning when we started. I took over 2 other pastors' jobs. I took over the education guy's job, and I took over the youth pastor job that was both kind of doing children's ministries, and neither one of them liked it. So I started with like 15 kids. And I was there, oh my gosh, that church, we were there for about 20 something years.
Wow.
And when we left, and this is all just because of me, when we left, there was over 1,000 kids in the ministry. It had nothing to do with you. It was just a wild part of ministry that the church was just growing. We went from a church of about 300 to a church of about 13,000.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was just a rocket ride. We used to have meetings every Monday morning to try to say, okay, what do we have to do now? Because we're going to have more kids this week, and what do we have to do to fix it? And I went from being it's a wonderful problem to have, but it's still a problem.
Right.
Because as I said, I never did this. I didn't know how to do any of this. We were making it up as we were going. And I went from me being the only guy in children's ministry to a staff of about 5.
Oh.
And it was just a crazy ride for those 20 years. And then they fired me.
You grew them too big.
Well, no, actually what it turned out to be, that was during the time when everybody was going to family ministries. And when you went to the family ministry model, there's no children's pastor in a family ministry model.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you have your preschooler and your elementary and your student, and they all report to the family guy. And so they had already picked their family guy, and I wasn't it. So they said, we don't really need a children's pastor anymore, but thanks for being with us. I mean, they were nice about it. I still love them. When I go back there, I still visit. I mean,
good.
It was a ministry decision. It had to be made.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then I went to a real small church. I mean, literally, the church was less than 200 people. And I thought, let's do something really different. So we went there, and we were there for about 15 years, and it didn't grow to 15,000. But I ended up being an associate pastor and doing preaching on the main stage. We did everything. I ended up not doing very much children's ministry at all, but I learned a lot about ministry during that slot. And then we got adopted by a much bigger church, and they already had a children's ministry team. And so they said, hey, if you want to do missions or something. And I said, I love missions, but I still think I'm a children's guy. Right. And they said, okay. So then through a wonderful, way too long to tell story, we ended up in Fort Worth, and I'm at a wonderful church that I love, and I'm the children's guy, and we're having a blast.
Awesome.
You certainly are. We love it.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are so much fun out there. We love every time we get to spend with you. So, Roger, one of your great qualities is you have the ability to try new things in an effort to reach the children and families in your community. So tell everybody about some of the unique events you have done over the years.
Well, one of the things we started off with, as I said, I never went to school, so I really don't know how to do anything. So I had to learn. I had to learn by making mistakes. And if you learn from making mistakes, I am a genius, because I've done just about everything in the universe wrong. I've messed it up in tons of ways. But every time I go, all right, I'm not doing that again. Let's do something different. So I always come in with an attitude of, I don't try to apply things that I've done to just what's going on now. I try to look at what do I need now to make it be what we need it to be, and then figure it out. The church I'm at now is, as I said, a wonderful church. When I got here, they had a great Awanas program. They had a great vacation Bible school program. They were doing things great. And in our conversations, they said, well, we want our vacation Bible school to be an outreach. And I said, oh, okay, most churches do. That's a great idea. Is it an outreach? And they said, oh yeah, we'll have twice as many kids show up for our vacation Bible school as show up on a regular Sunday. And I said, okay, that's more kids, but is it an outreach? And we started looking at the numbers, and we found half of the kids came from our church. The half that came from other places were coming from other churches. When we did registrations, they identified local churches that we knew that had great children's ministries as their church. And so I said, well, let's find out if that's true. Are they just saying this is the last church we went to, so that's our church? And so I just randomly picked 5 or 6 kids, maybe 10. We called those churches, and they go, oh yeah, those are very connected families to us. And I said, oh, then we're not doing an outreach. All we're doing is setting up great childcare for Christian kids. So if we want it to be a true outreach, we're going to have to do something really different than what we've been doing. So instead of, and I don't know where everybody's listening to this from, but we're in the Bible, we're on the buckle of the Bible Belt. I mean, we're on the shiny part of the buckle. So literally, when I'm going to work on a Sunday morning, I drive by 5 or 6 churches that are doing a great job. And during vacation Bible school season, you will drive by 5 or 6 churches that are doing vacation Bible school that are doing a great job. And most of those, to be honest, were doing the same curriculum for their VBS that we were doing. And I said, well, then no wonder. All we're doing is setting up this nice schedule for parents. They can have childcare for their kids all summer long, and their problems are solved in where is my kid going to go while I'm at work? And I said, I'm not opposed to that idea, but I'm opposed to that idea if we're going to do outreach. So the first thing we did was we said, let's get off of the summer VBS wheel and let's move it. So we moved it to spring break. So we do it like first, second week in March, because nobody's doing anything during that time. And we said, if for no other reason, let's at least not compete with our friends in other churches down the street. So that was our first move. The second move was we went to evenings. And the reason we went to evenings was I wanted to be able to talk with parents. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing it during the day, they don't have time to talk because they got to get to work. So they drop their kids off. You teach them all about Jesus. They pick them up and they go home. So I said, let's go evening and we'll have we did. We actually started parent care where we had a room for parents who were hanging out because we shortened VBS way up to make it in that no man's land where they go, if we drop our kids off, we're going to get home, sit down, have to stand back up, turn around and go right back to church. Let's just sit there. We'll just stay at the church because it's not long enough.
So bright.
And so we had parents sitting in our lobby concourse area, and we said, okay, let's do parent care for them. So we created a place where we had arts and crafts, we had things they could go do, and the people that were running it were looking for parents that were unconnected because we knew parents were going to show up now that potentially weren't at our church or from another church, and they could talk to them and find out, are you connected to a church or not? Are you connected to Jesus or not? What's your relationship like? So we did literally little craft projects. Every night they would do a craft project for the parents, for the dads. If it was on Monday night, we cranked up Monday Night Football and had a little place where they could watch the football game. And our guys would just go in and sit down and talk with them and find out their story. So that was one of the moves that we worked, and that helped us a little, but we were still getting a lot of church people. As a matter of fact, we were getting church people that were complaining because we'd moved it to a really awkward time for them.
How
Why
dare
did you make it on during the night and during the week? And why did you make it on spring break? So we were fine with that. We were fine. Our numbers went down, but our unchurched numbers started going up, and we were okay with that. We worked with a great leadership team, and I said, hey, we stand a really good chance of our VBS numbers going down, but our unchurched numbers will go up. And they said, great, that's what we want. So we did that for a couple years, and then we kind of stalled. And so our next plan was, let's not do VBS. Now, when you're on the belt buckle, that is not a good thing to say out loud to anybody. So we didn't. We lied to everybody. And what we did was, we have a local school that we have a relationship with, an elementary school that's a couple miles from our campus. And we do a thing called reading buddies, where our volunteers go into the school and read with kids that aren't reading well to help them read better. We did some of their teachers go to our church, so we kind of knew them. And we had this kind of ongoing relationship with them. So we went and asked the principal, who happened to be a brand new principal that year. Oh. And she didn't know any better. So we said, hey, we have a really great relationship with you and we love you guys. We would love to come into, yeah, you guys don't know it, but you love us. We're like best friends. We would like to come in during spring break and have a sports camp at your school. And they went, oh, that's great, because we would love to we want to be known as a community center in our area, highly Hispanic area, very, very family-driven, blue-collar working type of school. And they said, oh, well, that's great. We would love that, but you got to go talk to the school district. And then I bit the inside of my lip and said, okay. So we went to the school district and said, we would like to use this school for a sports camp during spring break. And they said, oh, that's great. We would love that. You'll have to rent the place. And we said, okay, we'll rent the place. And it got really kind of interesting because we told them up front, we're a church. Uh-huh. The principal knew. I said, hey, I'm just telling you, if you tell us we can't talk about Jesus, this deal is over.
Hmm.
I mean, we won't be mad at you. We'll still be best friends.
Right.
But unless we can talk about Jesus during our sports camp, we can't do this. And she said, that's okay. I love Jesus. And then we said, okay, if you love Jesus, yes, we do. We love Jesus.
How about
you? And so we were good with the principal. We didn't know about the school district. But there is some sort of, and our missions guy tried to explain it to me, and it was too many numbers, so I didn't understand it. But there was some sort of rule that was passed that said, if your school district rents their property to anybody else, they have to be able to rent to you. They can't say no.
Wow.
Now, they can still charge you,
Right.
but they can't say no. And so I never held on to that. I mean, I held on to it, but I never used it. And the lady that we met with the school district who's in charge of doing it, I just said, hey, we're going to be honest with you. We're a church. We talk about Jesus. We want to do a sports camp, but we're going to talk about Jesus. And she goes, oh, that's okay. I love Jesus. And I go, okay, good. If you love Jesus and we love Jesus and the principal loves Jesus, we're all good, right? And she goes, well, you still have to pay for it. And I said, yeah, okay, we're going to pay for it. We'll do it. So they said, okay, fine. So it took us a couple years to work out communication because school districts talk funny. But I was pretty good with it because I'd done 10 years in a school district that talked funny. So I understood how to talk to school districts. Yes, yeah, they don't talk like normal people. They talk like school districts. And so we rented the place. We did a 4-day sports camp and fine arts camp. And then it got kind of weird because we didn't know how to do a sports camp. I wear sports jerseys, but I don't know anything about sports camps. I never went to one. I don't know anything about it. And we had one lady on our staff who said, well, I went to one when I was a kid. And I said, okay, good. You're in charge. I love that I put this thing together.
That'll teach her to open her mouth.
Yeah. And we had, so we just started digging through our church family, talking to people. Hey, we want to do a sports camp. Who do you know? Well, I know that there's this coach. I know that there's that coach. This person used to do it. And we had a meeting. And I said, okay, guys, we want to do a sports camp and we don't know how. Can you help us? And they said, yeah, sure. Where are we going to do it at? And I said, we're going to do it at this local elementary school. And they said, oh, well, that's really good. But will our people from our church go to a local elementary school and take their kids? And I said, I don't have any idea. Let's just try it. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
So the first year was a ton of work. We made a lot of mistakes. We had to learn from it. But it came off, and we call it a spring break. And we threw in our worship. Our adult worship team came in big and said, well, let's do fine arts too. And we said, okay, what's that? And they said, well, we'll come in and we'll teach kids about music and we'll teach kids about basic instruments and they can play drums and learn rhythm. And I went, oh, that's great because there may be a bunch of kids that don't want to play sports. And we're limited. So we did, our first year out, we did basketball, soccer, Music 1 and Music 2. We called it Music 1 and Music 2 because we had no idea what they were going to do. We just said, come up with something
Right, exactly.
that's kid-friendly that they'll like. And then in between each one of the big the things, so the kids would sign up, they register for which ones, what they want to do. And in between each one, we have rally time. And we take all the kids into the gymnasium. Our kids' worship band did a couple rounds of music. We had testimonials about how Jesus impacted their coaches' lives. So we had the coaches come up and say, hey, I know all about Jesus because I'm really smart. Nobody said that.
Right.
But they said, here's what Jesus is doing in my life. And they gave their testimonials, which was really cool because then the kids would go out to soccer and there's Coach Ben who had just told them his story. And he would make himself available to talk with them about Jesus. So there's all this really cool evangelism stuff going on. And I didn't know about any of it. I didn't have, I said, I don't know anything about this. Let's just make it happen. So we went over to the school. We spent an entire week talking to parents, registering their kids. The school was great. They sent our flyers home with kids. They took registrations from parents. We made it free. I said, I don't know if we can make it free because we got to pay this registration for the school. But it all worked. And as a matter of fact, we ended up spending $3,000 less than what we normally spent on Vacation Bible School.
Oh, wow.
So it was a great, and I mean, it was worth all the administrative headache of it.
Yes.
We've done it for 3 years. We've added, last year, we put in an arts and crafts thing for kids. And we thought, let's put in arts and crafts in case kids don't want to go kick a ball around or something like that. It was like a monster hit. All the kids, we had to make Arts and Crafts 1 and Arts and Crafts 2. We had to build into it. They took over the entire cafeteria. And so it was crazy. And then on the last night, we said, well, we get to talk to parents when they bring their kids in, and we get to talk to parents. We do this. This is going to sound terrible. So anybody listening, I apologize. We intentionally made our checkout more complicated than it needed to be. And what we did was we took all the kids into the cafeteria and put them into their grade groups and had our team leaders with each one of the grade groups. And then when the parents came to get their kids, and we had to do the checkout thing, I don't know if everybody does it, but we had checkout where the parents have a tag and the kids have a name tag. And that was a nightmare and a half trying to keep kids' name tags on
I'm sure.
while they're playing soccer.
Oh, yeah.
But we found out that packing tape works really good. So we would just wrap the kid in packing tape and their name tags would stay on. But when the parents came to get them, and because it was such a high Hispanic influence, we had to bring in translators.
Oh.
Because the kids all speak English. They get it. Parents, only about a third of them spoke English comfortably. So we have a Hispanic prayer group and class that meets at our church. So we went to them and I said, we need you. And they said, what do you need us to do? I said, I need you to walk 100 feet down a hallway and talk to somebody. And they said, okay. So they would meet the parents at the door, and we intentionally used the room as far away from the front door as we could, so that those people had a long hallway to talk to parents. Hey, how you doing? How was your day? We had so much fun. Here's what our kids did today. If how can we help? Is there anything? And they just started building a relationship. And we told them every day, even though it's 200 and something kids, try to hook up with the same parents. Every day, try to find those same parents. And then they would come into the room, pick up their kids with their tag, go to the back door, we would check them out. And then every day we would start this again. And it would go from like 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 in the afternoon or something.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember. It's a number. I don't do numbers. And we would do it every day. And then on the last day, we started on the first day inviting them. On the last day, we had a big dinner on our campus out in the parking lot. And we found a local Mexican restaurant that did very authentic Mexican thing. And they said, yeah, we'll do this for you. We'll have a taco dinner for everybody. And so we invited all the families, bring your nanas, bring everybody you want, load up your cars, come on over because we're going to have our celebration night. And so all the kids are going to get, and you're going to see them. We've been shooting video all week long. You're going to get to see your kids. This is going to be great. So they come over, they bring all the aunts, the uncles. The place was just packed. And we fed them food. We took them into our auditorium because having them on campus is huge.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's some church somewhere and we don't know where they are. Yeah. Now they know where we're at. So we bring them into our auditorium. We have the band is playing again that's doing all the songs that they did all week long. Luckily, Gabe, who is our band leader as well as our tech guy, is fluent in Spanish. Go figure.
Makes sense.
He's extremely fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
So he gets up and he's our MC for the night. And he thanked all the families for coming out. He shows, hey, here's one of the things we taught your kids. It's real important. And he did the gospel presentation with them. They get to see the video. We made DVDs that each family got to take home with them. And they put it to music, and it's a lot of fun. And so we've done that for about 3 years. And we are staring at the fact that this year probably won't happen.
Yeah.
That there is just no way a school district is going to give us. I mean, that's just the idea of it is breaking every rule
Right.
that ever could be made. So we're not sure yet. We have to make up our minds pretty quick what we're going to do. We don't know whether just to cancel for a year or do something different on our campus, but we don't know. We're not real optimistic with the way everything's going. But so that was spring breakout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to hear how I killed Awana, because everybody will get mad at me, but
I don't either.
there you go. Awana fans. Hey, I love Awanas. I've done Awanas. We had Awanas here for a real long time. We just looked at it and said, it's not doing what we want it to do.
Yeah.
And so we turned it into small groups for kids. And here's what's funny. We do a ton of the exact same things that we were doing for Awanas. The only difference is the storyline and all the activities tie into our weekend teach. They don't tie into a separate Awanas teach.
Yeah.
So on Sunday morning, the kids come, they learn the story, they do the activities, they do all that. The ones that come back for small groups on Wednesday night go deeper.
Yeah.
And they
Double
get
dip.
45 minutes.
Nice.
So, yeah. So they're still memorizing scripture. They still get the thing. We even have special shirts for them that they get to wear.
Woo-hoo.
It's just we're not doing Awanas. So it wasn't long after that they nicknamed me the Awana Killer. I'm not sure I'm happy with that name. I said I'm going to end up dead in my bed one night from somebody. But so yeah,
Well,
yeah. But the goal is looking at, does your program do what you really want it to do? And if it doesn't, we don't do it. I'm getting old, man. I don't have time to spend a lot of time doing stuff that doesn't work.
That's right.
And as I said, I love Awanas. If the church says Awanas is working for us and does what we want, great. It wasn't doing it for us, so we switched to something that does. And that's kind of the way I approach all of my ministry. We do evaluations at the end of the year and goes, is this doing what we want it to do?
Right.
Then we keep it up.
Nice.
Well,
If it's not, we put the knife to it.
Exactly. You know, and we were kind of talking with Jaime Garcia yesterday about that same topic. That you know, especially 2020, right, has been this year where things have been strange, things have been not normal, and you've had to kind of really look at the things that you're doing and figure out, do they actually serve what you want them to do, or is there a better way to do it, you know, or a different way to do it, a way that's going to connect more and more. So I love the fact that that's kind of your mindset.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you had something else to say.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
And kind of on that topic, what have you kind of done this year to help kind of pivot your ministry to reach people? When
I know you got a story from Friday night,
yes,
right?
You do.
Yeah, we'll end up on the somewhat of a disaster, but we'll start with.
Well, you're sounding a little too perfect as a pastor right now, so we need a fun story to go.
Well,
you're
as
human.
I said, I'm a genius only because of all the mistakes I've made. I'm going to go back and use my first pastor's rule and blame everything on God.
Okay.
It was like January of last year when we first started hearing about the whole COVID thing, and all of us geniuses were sitting around going, man, I can't wait for April for this thing to be over so we can move on. And one of the things we started thinking about early on was, we have a thing called behind the wall, and it's just a term we use in our ministry that says, we can't assume that any parent who drops their kid off with us knows what their kid has done, what their kid has learned, or what's going on, because we take them behind a wall. And the parents, they don't know. And with most, when they talk to the kids, what'd you learn in church today? And they would say nothing, or Jesus. And so that wasn't really helpful either. And yet we're committed in our ministry to saying we want to connect with parents. Parents, the phrase we use that they're getting really tired of me saying is, kids don't drive. If kids show up to us, it's because their parents are connected and bring them to us. Kids don't drive.
Right.
Now, we did have some international kids that were living in the neighborhood that showed up one day all by themselves and just came in and dropped down. And we said,
oh, wow.
Okay, who are you and where did you come from and why are you here? And we had to go find the parents because we do the check-in, check-out system with security, and there was nobody to. So that was an interesting thing, but that's rare. So what we did was we said, we want to start helping our parents know what we do behind the wall.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but there's this cool thing called Zoom.
Tell me more.
You guys heard of Zoom? Oh, it's exciting.
Maybe.
Zoom is this thing where you can talk to people over the WWW World Wide Web, and they will instantly, like sitting in a room with them. But we also found that you can record on Zoom. So what we've started doing early January last year was we started recording our teaching for the kids. And then I found this, this is something that I would have never even thought about or mentioned 2 years ago. I found this app that is called Filmmaker, and it allows you to edit what you record.
Mm-hmm.
So we started editing and recording and putting music with it to make it interesting, and we kept it at 20 minutes, and we upload it to our YouTube channel. I didn't even know you could have a YouTube channel. I don't know anything about this stuff, but I've had to learn.
Right.
And so we upload it to our YouTube channel, and we put it on our Facebook. So if you go to we have a children's ministry Facebook that is secured. So you have to be allowed into the group to use it because we put kids' faces on it.
Smart.
Yeah.
But the parents that are a part of that group, they get to go to the link. They can click on it. We do it for our preschool, our elementary age kids, and for our 5th and 6th graders. So each one of those pastors makes a video for those parents, those kids.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we started doing this, and we said, oh, this is kind of cute. This is kind of a nice way to connect with parents. And then COVID hit, and we showed up on a Monday. And by the way, last year's spring breakout,
Yeah.
we got done on Wednesday. The next Monday, they shut everything down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was that close.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of terrifying for us.
I'm sure.
So we said, well, for those parents now, we'll just keep the video we're already doing for our parents. We'll let them keep it, and they can do it with their kids. So we made it more kid friendly. That's when we started adding music to it, and we had games and activities, and there was a download that they could do.
Wow.
And we just kept right on going. We never stopped. And we had 2 months of, we had January and February of getting all the mess ups and the skew ups done, so that by the time everything shut down and we went to it, we were already going. We have not stopped. We still do it. We came back in person in like mid-July. We came back, and it was like the old days. I had 15 kids in my children's ministry. We've like doubled and tripled that now. Our families are coming back. We put in, I think it's because we've put in really good protocols, and you know, we're running safe as you can with it.
Pretty fantastic.
We'll know if that stays true in the next month or so. But we still put the videos out there for parents. As a matter of fact, we have an email that goes out to parents, and we were telling them the reason you want to watch is so that you know what your kid's learning. So you can have a conversation with them. Now, we use a integrated curriculum in our church. It's a Lifeway thing, so it's not like proprietary or whatever that big word is. But our adults, when they go to their groups, are learning the exact same story the kids are learning.
I love that.
So on the way home, or when they want to, if they can watch it on their phone, 20 minutes, they now see. So when the kid comes home and he says, yeah, he had a pickle in a box. And you'll go, what? He had a pickle in a box? What's that all about? Well, they can go see why the object lesson of the pickle in the box fits the story, and then they can have a conversation with their kids.
And the parents are learning.
And then they
thing.
bring them. Yeah, they learn the same story.
Yeah.
Probably without a pickle in a box, but it's
Probably.
the same story.
Not as much fun.
Not as
And
much
then,
fun. That's right.
And then we can bring them back and say, hey, come on back on Wednesday night for our small groups, and we're going to have pickles for snacks.
Nice.
So we started doing that early on. We have all of our take-home papers online. For the longest time, for about a month or so there, our church was still open, but we didn't have children's ministry going. So we did take-in papers for the kids. They could, and we told them this on a big screen when they came in, if you have headphones, put the headphone into your phone, and you can go to our Facebook page. You can click on the video, and while the senior pastor is talking to you about something using big words, your kid can be watching a pickle in a box.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. And so we've just kept that going. They can still do it. If you go to, and I shouldn't say this because I think it's cheating. I'm not sure if it's a copyright thing. I'm sure we break every rule, and I'm pretty sure Brian from Lifeway is going to call me at the end of this. Okay, now we're suing you, just to let you know you're not getting away with this anymore. But if you go to kids@southcliff.com, you get an automatic kickback. So a parent sitting in the auditorium goes to kids@southcliff.com, will receive an automatic reply with the link for the video for their kid. So they can do that, and that's up. That's up 24/7.
Kids@southcliff.com?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. And that's 24/7, because one of the things we were doing is we were doing it on Sunday only, but then we found there's a bunch of parents that don't have time on Sunday to do it because it's too hectic.
Right.
And they said, well, how can I get it on Tuesday? And I said, I guess we could just leave it up. That'd be the way to do it. So we leave it up 24/7 all during the week. Parents can get it and watch with their kids. If their kids are sick, and not even COVID, if they just have a cold and they can't come, they can watch the video with their kids. If we're still not quite comfortable coming back yet, they can watch it with their kids. We have missionaries from around the world that we're aware of that know about it, that come over and grab the link and watch it with their kids. So it's worked out pretty good for us. As our parents have come back, there's less and less use of it, but we have determined that we like the idea enough that we're staying with it.
Good.
I like it.
So
Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
what was the question? I just kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, that was
What was
awesome.
the question?
The question was, how have you pivoted? What have you done?
And I was going to have you
okay.
tell that story about
Did that
Friday
answer
night.
that? Yeah, okay. So one of the other things we started doing is we felt like our families, what we were hearing from our families was we feel unconnected to our church family.
Right.
That, we're not allowed to sit anywhere close to them, and we can only come and sit every other seat. And so we're feeling unconnected from our friends. So one of the things we came up with was this idea of a drive-in movie. And we promote it. It's just, I think we did Lion King one time. I mean, we just picked popular old movies that parents would say, oh yeah, I know that. That's a cool one. We shoot it on the outside of our office administration building because it's got the biggest space on the side of the wall. We just get a big projector. Our church, this is like, I'll blame this one on God too. We had this guy that said, well, the way to do the sound is you should use like an FM receiver. And we said, yes, we should. What is it? I don't even know anything about it. And he goes, well, I have one. Let me show you how it works. So he brought it and set it up. And if ever anybody, I doubt anybody else is as dumb as me about it, but when people come on your property, they turn their radio to whatever the station is.
Right.
And you turn on the FM thing and it plays through their radio.
Mm-hmm.
So we shoot the movie off the side of our building. They get their sound through and they stay in their cars. And we have the cars, so they're stacked apart. Some parents now bring lawn chairs and stuff and sit out in front.
Uh-huh.
We buy a couple $100 worth of snacks. But there was one car that showed up on Friday. There were almost all the kids were like jammed in the front seat. And I said, why do you have all your kids jammed in the front seat? And they said, well, look in the back. They had the big bags of popcorn that were just stuffed into the back seat of their car. So there was no room for kids. So they bring their own snacks. We do it. Well, two of our tech people that normally run the FM receiver and I think I've explained that I'm an idiot about all this stuff. So they were gone, and I was the guy that was put in charge of tech. And so I said, okay, they showed me, and I said, okay, as long as everything goes the way it's supposed to, we're good. But if we have one problem, and they said, no. Then they just intentionally ruined it by saying, don't worry, nothing can go wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
That's it.
That's bad.
The problem.
So we showed up. And we had a microphone hooked in. So we're telling parent, park over here. It's getting dark early. We're going to shoot the movie. We'll be good. Well, the guy that we normally get our projectors from had already loaned them out to somebody else. And so we had to use a backup projector. So the screen was a little darker than I wanted it to be. Like it was still noticeable, but it was also very noticeable that it was dark. And so that wasn't good. And then the sound worked through the microphone, but it wouldn't go from the laptop that we were streaming the movie from into the FM receiver. So we had to take the microphone and set it on the laptop and drive the sound through the laptop into the microphone, into the receiver. And, oh, man, we just sat there and shook our heads like, oh, man, this is just awful. But the kids were having fun. We had once we figured out the sound problem and how to run it through the mic, we got a big cheer from everybody in the cars. We had like 15 cars show up. But here's the crazy part. We put it on our church website and then pushed it into the community. The first 8 cars on property, we had never seen those people before in our lives.
Nice.
Love that.
We had no idea who they were. Now, I'm really feeling the heat then going, oh, man, the quality of this.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But we went around and talked to them, and we gave them snacks. We'd ordered snacks, and we gave them snacks, and they were real nice. They stayed.
Good.
And you heard the kids laugh. And when we fired up the sound, everybody started honking their horns and cheering, so they were all good with it. And so we're going to do one of those probably 3 times a year.
Okay.
We'll do another one at the end of January, depending upon where we're at with shutdown or no shutdown. So it's just one of those things. The families, the 15 cars that showed up were connected. You heard people, yelling out their windows and talking to each other and setting up. One of them invites their family, and so they have this tailgating thing that they pull in together and they do.
Oh.
And so it hit the goal of what we wanted. They're relatively simple. Once our church bought the FM receiver, which they turned around and said, oh, well, if you guys are going to do this all the time, we need to get an FM receiver. Yep. And then at this point, our young adults were doing worship out in the parking lot and doing all these things.
Wow.
Well, now the only ones that are really using it is us. So we feel kind of, we paid for this thing. I guess we should keep using it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Just tell Gabe he's not allowed to take a day off.
That's right.
Doesn't he know?
Yeah.
Ministry, you don't get time off.
Yeah. And they're going to hear about that. And I'll tell him you said so.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I will as soon as he gets back. Gabe's in Arkansas with his family. But other than that, as soon as they get back, I'll tell him.
Yeah.
Don't get any more fun.
He'll love me even more.
Oh, right. Yeah. Love you already. Well, man, I don't know that we've ever laughed as much during the front section of our of our
Right.
coffee chats. And I normally say these are really deep answers to some tough questions. But man, you made this so much fun.
I told you I didn't go to Bible college. I don't know the deep answer.
I don't know deep.
Well, now we're going to
Jesus
go.
loves you. Love
This
him
I
back.
know. Yep.
Give your life to him. That's the deep stuff. And now have some popcorn.
There you go.
Yay!
I like popcorn. Well, now we're going to move into our lightning round that we call 5 questions.
Oh, it's crazy.
All right, kick it off.
Question
That's a
number
great graphic.
one.
I
Oh,
like the
thank you.
graphic.
That's all.
I'm into graphics.
So, what are you binge watching right now?
I don't watch a lot of TV. So the 2 binges are I'm listening to a podcast by this guy, the Bible Project guys that do the videos.
Yep.
They have a podcast, and I learned so much from those guys because I never went to Bible college.
Right.
So I learned a lot from them. So I am binge listening to podcast by Bible Project.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
cool.
You could get a diploma at the end
I
of
was going
that,
to say,
right?
I think. Sounds
Yeah, it would be, but it would be with a really weird illustration thing on the front of it.
Perfect.
I'd be okay with that.
If you could have any other job than the one you have right now, what would it be?
I never answer that question because there's so many times that I've had a job and then somebody came to me and said, "Oh, by the way, you need to go find another job." The answer would be I love cooking, and if I wasn't so old and I was a risk taker, I would love to open up a little tiny cafe
Ooh.
yeah.
where people could just come and hang out, and I got to make what I wanted to make when I wanted to make it and as much. And then when we were done, we'd say, "Okay, I'm all out of it. Go away."
Okay, so side question to that. What's your favorite thing to make?
Oh, see, that's an impossible question because it's why I love cooking. I just about anything. I like to try new things. So we'll have people over for dinner, and they'll say, "Oh, how long?" And I said, "I've never made this before. I've just wanted to try it out, and I'm glad you came over for dinner." So
Okay.
I do a lot of Asian cooking because I love it. It was one of the first things. When I moved to Texas, I started playing around with barbecue and smoking
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's whatever strikes my mood on a day.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So side question to her side question.
Oh,
when are we
wow.
coming over?
Thursday. Oh no,
Thursday.
wait a minute. I'm busy
Ah.
on Thursday. Never mind. We'll have to work that out.
That'd be fun. What is your favorite to-go order?
I don't do very many to go orders. We don't
you make
do
your
that.
own?
Like, okay, just for the record, I've never used Grubhub. I've never used any of those. We have never ordered food to be delivered to our house
Wow.
ever.
Not even
But
pizza?
that's because I'm old.
Not even pizza?
Well, I make my own pizzas. We don't even do pizza.
Oh,
Wow.
It's just weird. I don't do that very often.
okay.
Huh.
I don't know the last time. Now there are times we'll swing by and pick something up because my wife. The deal is I cook and she cleans, so our marriage is sanctified in heaven. But on Wednesday nights, which is our grow group nights, our small group nights at the church, I stay through. So I go to work in the morning and I just stay through. So she cooks. She cooks on Wednesday night. So it's wherever she stops and picks something up.
Love
And
it.
she said, "I ain't cooking.
Yeah.
I love it.
That ain't happening.
That's
Good for
Because we ain't
her.
doing the dishes and I ain't cooking."
Yes.
So she'll swing by and pick something up, and so maybe that counts.
She's a
Cool.
wise lady.
All right, so what are you reading right now?
I just finished a series by Joel Rosenberg. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He is, I love this guy. He's a good Christian guy who has Israeli residency and U.S. citizenship. He's both.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he was writing espionage thrillers. And what they found that was weird is the government started watching the stuff he would write about started happening.
Oh.
So they called him in and they did an interview and they said, "How is it that the stuff you write about in your books actually happens?" And he goes, "Oh, it's because I write about stuff that the Bible talks about." And they said, "What?" And so he got to witness to them and talk to them about the book of Isaiah and the book of Daniel and all the book of Revelation, all these different stories. And they said, wow, that's pretty amazing. The Bible told you all this stuff? And he goes, yeah, this isn't that complicated. And so he kind of became this go-to person when they wanted to find out what was going to go on. They would call him and have him come in. So I just finished his last series of espionage thrillers, Joel Rosenberg. So that's what I'm reading. And currently I'm recovering from that, so I'm not reading anything else.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Other than the Bible. I always read the Bible.
Of course.
Correct answer.
Yes. Gotcha.
And a new recipe, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't understand why anybody buys recipe books in the world we live in. You just Google it.
Oh, fair enough. That's true. Yeah.
How do you make paella? I don't know. Let's go look at it in Google. Oh, here's 15 recipes for paella. Okay.
Yep.
Good enough.
I like it.
So they decide to make a movie of your life. Who plays you?
I have to pick somebody old because I'm old.
You don't have to.
No.
So, yeah, I'm old. I'm staring at figuring out my transition retirement plan now.
That blows my mind about you. by the way.
No.
Yeah, I am that old. I actually got my Medicare card in the mail last week.
Wow.
We're talking old. So I would probably go. I would go with one of two. Harrison Ford, because he's good and old.
Nice.
I can
And
see
if
that.
we could do a Harrison Ford, plus I'm a Raiders of the Lost Ark fan. So if we could do, if we could go back and do young Harrison Ford all the way through to old Harrison Ford,
Okay.
I would pick him.
I like
Alright.
it.
Especially when he yells, "Get off of my plane." That's just one of my favorite all-time movie lines.
Perfect.
It's a good line. Man, well, hey, Roger, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute blast. I think for anybody who's been listening, particularly in ministry, not just children's ministry, any ministry,
But tag all your children's ministry friends because
this is great
golden.
stuff. This is great stuff.
Oh, okay.
And we thank you
Okay.
They would probably all go, "Oh man, I've heard all that junk before. He didn't do any of that stuff. He just says he did."
But we thank you for your time, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to see you too, and we'll work out the dinner thing.
I like it.
Sounds great.
All right.
Whenever you're in town, you travel too much, man. You make my head hurt.
Not at the
You're
moment.
welcome. Right on. All right, take
See
care.
you, Roger.
Bye.
Uh,
Well, that's Roger. I told you guys would love him. He is absolutely
It's
fantastic. Just one of our absolute favorites. I don't know what is going on with our camera today. Sorry, guys. It's all over the place.
It was actually funny when we were with him this last time for the event. We're like, we just love hanging out with you. We're going to have to find a time just to chill. And so I think we came up with the idea that we're going to do an event. We're going to bring in some other entertainer, but we're just going to be there just to hang out with Roger.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah. But next
week,
Yes.
we won't be here. Because next week is
Aw.
Thanksgiving, and we're going to take the time
I
off.
feel like I needed a little sad.
Womp, 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 womp. I do have a sad sound, but I don't know where it is. There's somebody just sent up a sad emoji.
I did.
Thanks for that. Oh, you did. Okay. You sent up a sad emoji.
Maybe somebody else did too. I know
But anyway, so we won't be here next week. But the following week,
Yes.
we will be back with Carl Kirby. He is with Reasons for Hope and Debunked and a bunch of other apologetics sort of stuff. He's going to have some great advice and information for you guys. So we hope you will join us
It's
for
December
that.
4th. So
Yes.
mark your calendars now, people.
Yeah. Any other things?
I think that's it. So I guess since we won't see you for Thanksgiving, we just
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're thankful for you.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We're
okay.
absolutely thankful for you guys. You guys have been amazing with us this year. We
Mhm.
thank you for kind of rolling with some of the stuff we've had to do and some of our tech issues. So thankful for you guys, and we hope, we know we're not supposed to spend time with
Right.
people, but whatever you're doing, whatever you end up doing for Thanksgiving,
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.